This channel just hit 20 million views. It is a huge milestone for all of us and everything we've been building here together. Almost 250 videos, 122,000 subscribers. It's humbling to think this little idea for an optimistic, deeply researched, steak over sizzle, facts over flex, punching up and never down, conversation about technology and culture we started just over a year ago has found an audience as smart and savvy and frankly as magnificent as all of you. I know we're not huge yet by YouTube standards, but I'm truly grateful for all of you, and I really appreciate each and every one of you for hitting that subscribe button, Superman smashing that bell gizmo, and sharing your favorites with your friends so they can join us and we can all keep going and growing together. Thank you. Sincerely. So much more to come. I'm Rene Ritchie, and this is Vector. First, a quick shout out to NBC News for the talk about the Siri and personal assistant controversy I covered in yesterday's video.
Whether it's Amazon or Apple or Google, they are all building a big surveillance economy that makes its money watching you and me.
Google, Facebook, sure, they're all big into surveillance capitalism and the harvesting of user data to broker marketing and advertising and even sell analytics products. And we can argue about Amazon because frankly, I'm not as familiar with their data businesses yet. But lumping Apple in with them isn't just lazy, it's plain wrong. What's almost funny is that if Apple's business depended on them harvesting user data, they would be out of business. What makes it only almost funny, or not very funny, is that consumers deserve to know that they have options and alternatives. Some people have no problem paying data for services, and they have Google and Facebook. Other people think the price of data is just too high, and they need to know that they have options and alternatives too, even if yes, they cost actual real cash money. So, like me, you can be super not happy about human contractors being used for Siri quality assurance, want it eliminated at best, and far better, more obviously and more plainly disclosed, opt-in at worst, but you can also get the story right. And yes, while false triggers happen all the time, Siri isn't always listening to everything you say. And I think this is true of Google and Alexa as well, though the latter's retention rules may be different. There's local on-device processing that only listens for the trigger word, and only when it hears the trigger word is anything kicked up to the network. If you're interested in the process, there's a whole paper up on it on the Machine Learning Journal. And if you want Apple to cut it out with the contractors or at least add an opt-in to Setup Buddy, drop your feedback in the comments below. Thing 2. Okay, yes, totally, absolutely. It's ridiculous we're talking about the 2020 iPhones when Apple hasn't even announced the 2019 iPhones yet. But supply chain exfiltrator extraordinaire Guo Mingqi is back again with a new set of rumors, and I have questions. They focus on 5G this time, which is the hottest cellular networking technology since, you guessed it, 4G, and not the fake AT&T kind, the real kind. And with them, Kuo allows him to correct himself. See, here's the deal. Kuo previously said only 2 of the 2020 iPhones would have 5G, presumably the regular and Max models, while the third remained on LTE, presumably the R model. Now he's saying all 3 will be 5G, which is fine, good, great. But the reasons for it, as reported by Mac Rumors, are a little harder, for me at least, to understand. Apple has more resources for developing the 5G iPhone after the acquisition of Intel baseband business. Now, maybe I'm dense, maybe it's the heat wave, or maybe I'm still loopy off the 20 million thing, but I'm having trouble figuring out how Apple closing a deal last week for Intel's modem business will give them more bandwidth to include more Qualcomm 5G modems into next year's iPhones. Sure, they're getting over 2,000 new engineers, and they'll all be well and truly onboarded by then, and maybe it's as simple as that. But if there was a plan to leave the 2020R without 5G, was it really just because there weren't enough hands to push thin modems into those thin chassis? Again, I may be missing something super obvious, barely an insight here, but that sounds a lot like a mythical person month to me. If any of you way smarter than me people have any ideas about what this could all mean, please do me a solid and drop them in the comments. The other reasons he gives resonate way better for me. We expect that the prices of 5G Android smartphones will decline to $249 to $349 US in the second half of 2020. Kuo believes those phones will be limited to the sub-6 GHz though, which is currently the less impressively fast, more mundane, but also much farther reaching non-city flavor of 5G, and not Wave, which is the faster, more audacious, but requires a mini tower or several on basically every city block flavor of 5G. He seems uncertain, or at least the language used makes me uncertain, if Apple would limit the 2020 R model to sub-6G to lower costs for markets like China, or include sub-6G and Wave to better appeal to the US market, or both, I guess, because FOMO YOLO. The competitive market does make more sense to me as a driver, though Kuo adds just one more reason. Boosting 5G developments could benefit Apple's AR ecosystem. Again, it's unclear if by ecosystem Kuo is including the AR glasses, long rumored to be Apple's next new product category. Either way, if you want to get AR off of Wi-Fi and out into the world super fast, super ubiquitous, super low latency, 5G is certainly a huge bonus. Or at least it will be when 5G is actually ubiquitous in a couple to a few years from now. And if all of that sounds super confusing and you want a full-on 5G explainer, especially those of you who get all nervous about the technology anytime I mention it, let me know in the comments below and I'll schedule it up. Thing 3, Guomingji also allowed himself to correct him, language is hard, about the rumored 16-inch MacBook Pro with the next generation scissor not butterfly keyboard. Previously, Kuo said the new keyboard would be coming to the MacBook Air this year and to an updated MacBook Pro model next year, which made the kind of sense that didn't. As everyone knows by now, just a very short time later, Apple updated the MacBook Air with True Tone and the new dome material, but left it otherwise almost exactly the same as when it debuted in October of 2018, including the butterfly switches. And with the new MacBook Pro rumored to be ready this fall, that's just always seemed like the best place to debut the new scissor switches. That's what almost every other rumor has been saying for a while now, and it's what Kuo is saying now as well. Randomly accurate supply chain rumor site Digitimes has also chimed in, reiterating what I think most people are expecting from the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Namely that, like the iPhone X did to the iPhone 7, it'll stay roughly the same size as the current 15-inch, but delete all the bezel it has to cram in a 16-inch 3072 by 1920 LCD display. There's also been a bunch of internet angst and hot takes, so many hot takes, over an economic daily report suggesting the 16-inch MacBook Pro could cost upwards of, wait for it, $3,000. That's $600 more than the current baseline 15-inch and $200 more than the other in-store option. And that's much harder to parse. We've sometimes seen big dollars attached to new Apple products only to have them announced lower and make it seem like a deal. Remember, the original iPad was rumored to cost $1,000 and then artfully debuted at just $500. Given we don't know what the processors or GPU options will be yet, or what other technology will be included, and Intel has Xeon processors going into the new Mac Pro that cost $7 to $10 grand for just the chip, it's like throwing batarangs around in the dark right now. Personally, I expect the 16-inch price to be higher than the current 15-inch price for a few reasons. One, pretty much every vendor charges more for larger display sizes. It's what consumers understand, so it's what the industry has settled on. Two, when Apple declared war on the iPhone and iPad bezels, they also introduced Face ID and other technologies that pushed up the component cost. And three, Apple typically prices higher on new designs to make back the R&D cost as fast as possible, and then lowers prices over subsequent generations. We've seen this play out not just over and over again, but pretty much each and every time. I haven't done the math on this year's yet, but as of last year, Apple's margins had been trending down from just after the Steve Jobs years. So, well, yeah, prices are up, costs are up slightly more, and Apple is eating some of those, though arguably for many, they could eat much, much more. And it's a problem that absolutely needs solving, and one Apple's coming under increasing pressure to address, especially internationally, and frankly, that's why there's Brilliant. Brilliant is, wait for it, a problem-solving website and an app with a hands-on approach with over 50 interactive courses. In Brilliant's new Puzzle Science course, you'll develop a solid foundation in physics while playing with puzzles. Each quiz focuses on solving puzzles that relate to a topic in the natural world. You'll explore the physics of mirror reflections, laser tag, and making the perfect shot in a game of pool. There's even a whole series where you'll use puzzles to figure out why steel ships don't sink in oceans, but steel blocks do. Effective learning is about problem solving, and Brilliant will help you learn and get practice. You'll come away better at problem solving. To support Vector and get unlimited access to Brilliant's courses and daily challenges, head over to brilliant.org/vector and get 20% off their annual premium subscription. Thanks, Brilliant, and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. I know some of you who love Apple products, especially new designs, hate seeing those prices continue to creep up because in a very real, very frustrating way, it effectively prices you out of the products you love. And Apple doesn't always, or even really ever, address the value prop in terms of how long products last or the resale value they have. Beyond that though, I very much hope Apple also pushes the current iPad strategy to every other product category. Keep making ever newer, ever better, even more pricey versions if you absolutely really have to on top, but offer a killer version at the very bottom as well. That $329 iPad, frequently on sale for less, really is one of the best deals in tech today, and I'd love to see an iPhone SE 2 and sub $1,000 MacBook Air that are just as great deals as well. But that's what I think. Now I want to know what you think. Hit like if you do, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and then hit up the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next video.